We were raised Catholic and went to Catholic schools until I was in the 5th grade. We went to church on Sundays with Mom. Poppy never went with us. He had agreed to raise us as Catholics, but he didn't let that interfere with his own life. My sweetest memory of church is on Christmas Eve, going to midnight mass and waiting till they put the little baby Jesus in the creche. That was just always such a wonderful time. Another thing I remember about Catholic school, of course, is all the nuns. One time I came home from school, I was probably only in the 1st or 2nd grade, and I walked into our kitchen at home, and there's a nun standing there guzzling a beer. I was so shocked. I couldn't believe it. Well, it turned out that was Aunt Gladys, and I'd never really met her before. She was a doll baby. When I was about 6 or 7, Dad told the boys, okay now, this is your little sister and you have to protect her. And they said they would. And the very next day I came home just in tears because Connie Dernberger, the little girl down the street, had shoved me. So the boys jumped up and ran down the street. They had bats and sticks and they were running down the street and Dad's running behind them saying, no, that's not what I meant, that's not what I meant. Most of our vacations were spent in Lima visiting family and going to the Rouse Cup family reunion. We all remember that. But we did take 2 really special trips as a whole family. Our trip to Washington, D.C. was in January 1961 in our brand new Volkswagen bus. We stayed at this really fancy hotel. Well, to us it was fancy. And we went around and saw all the sights. And I remember slipping on the ice and falling on my butt in front of the U.S. Mint. We got to eat pizza in our room and Mom and Dad went out. It was a really cool time. It was the first family vacation I know of. And then one time we went to Canada for lunch. It was pretty cool because we planned it that week ahead of time. And I told everybody we were going to Canada on Saturday and we were coming home Saturday, trying to imply we were going to be gone a whole week. I don't know if I fooled anybody though. But when we started across the Mackinac Bridge, I was so scared because it is so high. So I was freaking out and I got down in the bottom of the van. Of course, I don't know what good that would have done. I actually would have hit the water first if we'd gone over, I guess. The boys just teased me and made so much fun of me the whole time. And while we were up there, Tom and Duke, I think Duke was involved, and I know Tom was, they got caught smoking in the back of the bus. So Dad pulled over and put them out on the sidewalk. And I was so worried. I thought, oh my gosh, we're never going to see our brothers again. But of course, Dad just drove around that block and went back and picked them up. You know, I don't think it really did much good though, because they both still smoked till they were very old. I'm sorry, Tom, Duke, you're not very old, till you were older. Then on the way back from Canada, since I was so afraid of that bridge, Dad said, okay, well, we'll go under the tunnel. So we went in the tunnel underneath the river that time. And when I looked out the windows of the car, I was scared again because there's all these cracks and all this condensation dripping, and then I was pretty sure we were all going to drown. So it was just no way to get me to Canada. At one point in our lives, Dad used to, every week when he'd go to the grocery store, he'd bring home a 6-pack of Coke or soda of some kind, 16-ounce bottles. We each got our own huge bottle of soda. And it was so cool because the boys would just guzzle theirs down. And I would just sit in front of the TV and just sip it and enjoy my Coke for the whole evening. I'm sure I wasn't smirking or anything like that. I wouldn't do that. I did do the same thing though with at Easter time, because every Easter we would get either a huge chocolate egg or a big bunny, and the boys would just go through their candy all the way real fast. And I would just bite off a little ear, take off a little paw, take off a little leg, little foot. I made my candy last for like a whole week. Well, I tried to, but if the boys beat me home from school, then it was gone anyway. Mom and Poppy must never have thought they had enough kids, because there were always other kids in our house besides we 5. There were often temporary additions to the house. They would babysit or foster kids, or cousins would come to live with us. Even just neighbors and kids that we knew who were having a rough time at home, Mom and Dad would let them stay with us. But then we were blessed with a permanent addition to our family, our little Renee. Serena and her sisters came into our lives in the early part of the 70s when she was only about 18 months old. And you know what? She stole our heart from the very start. We're so thankful that she became our true sister. She has really enriched our lives. When we all got older, we kind of started off on our own lives. School, military, work, getting married, raising families. We're all still very family oriented, but it seems mainly to be concentrated on our own family, our immediate family, spouse and kids. We haven't always stayed really in close touch, but whenever there was a need, we were always there for each other. Some of us have been together for Christmases and Thanksgivings, some birthdays. Quite a few of us gathered together for Mom and Dad's 50th anniversary, and we had that really special Christmas in 1991 when all of us were together at one time. Well, all of us except for little Raji, of course. He was in the hospital, and Linda stayed with him almost the whole time. So that was the closest we've had to all of us being together since the 70s. I don't think once we all started getting married and moving out that we ever have gotten together since 91, until 91. But then since about 2001, we started having family reunions every couple of years, and several of us have gotten together often. And I am so looking forward to this family reunion in July. I'm so looking forward to all of us being together again. And I know we're just going to have a great time. I love you.